He was once known as Anan, a humble monk in the forests of 11th century Tibet. His devotion was pure, his meditation deep. One winter night, while seeking solitude in a cave, he was visited not by visions of enlightenment but by a creature older than empires. Fangs pierced the flesh of his throat, and instead of nirvana, Anan was granted eternity, a curse wrapped in dark silk. For 1,000 years, he wandered through history. He sought wisdom, but his hunger for blood followed him like a shadow. The sutras he once chanted for liberation became his anchor, the only thread tying him to compassion. The march of centuries, the Crusades, 12th century. He walked among battlefields, tasting the blood of warriors who cried out for God in their final breaths. He prayed over their bodies even as he fed, torn between faith and need. Ming Dynasty courts, 15th century, disguised as a wandering sage, he whispered counsel into the ears of emperors, warning of corruption. His face remained unchanged, and rumors spread of a ghostly monk who could not die. The Enlightenment, 18th century, in France, he sat silently in salons, listening to philosophers debate freedom while sipping wine he could not taste. In secret, he fed upon criminals dragged to the guillotine. And then, the 20th century arrived. The Kennedy meeting, 1963, Anan, now calling himself Brother Dhamma, moved quietly through America during the Civil Rights era. Drawn to those who radiated hope, he found himself in the presence of President John F. Kennedy during a private gathering at the White House. Kennedy, curious about Eastern spirituality, asked the monk about impermanence. Anan looked into his bright, restless eyes and answered, "Even the brightest flame must go out, but what matters is how much light it gives before darkness claims it." Kennedy smiled, perhaps unaware that death was already circling him. Months later, when the president was assassinated, Anan mourned in silence. For the first time in centuries, he shed tears instead of blood. The temples of today. In the modern world, Anan blended into Buddhist communities. He swept temple floors, taught meditation, and spoke of compassion. Few knew that when the sun fell, he gathered with others of his kind, vampires who cloaked their hunger in ritual. They called them feast nights. Within candlelit halls, draped in saffron robes, they drank from chalices filled with human blood, collected in secret pacts with followers who offered it willingly. To them, it was both communion and survival, a paradox of sacred and profane. Yet despite the companionship of immortals, Anan felt hollow. He had lived 1,000 years, witnessed empires rise and fall, and still he longed for something more. The year 3032. The earth trembled beneath another great pandemic. Viruses mutated, plagues burned through cities, and even immortals were not spared. Anan, weakened and weary, drank from the body of a fallen victim, unaware the blood carried a toxin crafted in desperation by human science. For the first time since his turning, he felt death approaching. His body withered, his veins burned, but it was then that he met her. She was not a vampire, nor a monk, but a healer, a woman who tended to both the sick and the damned. Her presence stilled his hunger, her voice soothed his torment. In her gaze, he finally saw what a millennium had denied him: love, untainted and eternal. As he lay dying, he whispered to her, "I sought nirvana in temples, wisdom in kings, solace in blood. But only now do I see that enlightenment was always meant to be found in love." With that final breath, after 1,000 years of hunger, Anan the monk vampire closed his eyes, empty no longer.